So it's been quite some time since we've had a Dokkanfest 2R release to update this event, and some things I feel like have kind of just changed a little bit in terms of us also getting a new mega stage. But yeah, the last time I did a tier list for Dokkanfest 2Rs was when Turles came out, and that tier list came out at the beginning of June. So it's been quite some time, about 2 months now, since like that Turles has released, and we finally got the newest Dokkanfest 2R, Super Trunks, and we also are not going to get another Dokkanfest 2R until the end of September / beginning of October. So it's going to be basically another 2 months until we get another Dokkanfest 2R. Things might definitely shift up a bit depending on what other difficult content we may get, right? We got an Omega Shenron fight recently, and I don't feel like it's really changed too much, honestly, because it's just a harder version of Sin. But the fact that there's more like AoE normal bosses could potentially affect some personal rankings of mine, and we're just gonna go ahead and talk about it right now. So this is obviously just top 10. We're gonna be getting all 10 units on here, and we'll just be talking about all of them specifically, more so like the changes to previous tier lists. But we're going to start off with our number 10 spot, which is actually going to be a Dokkan Festival Yamcha. Now, I have Dokkan Yamcha here. I think there are actually a couple of options that you can have for this 10 spot. Even though Yamcha is weaker in, like, I feel like Sin and Omega, he's not really going to be like that guy for you, because his passive, his intro is going to run out, right? And if he doesn't dodge, he gets obliterated by these like normal attacks potentially. But he still has a really strong leader skill. You can cook in the shorter events. There's still a lot of short events in the game. The entire game, like in terms of difficult content, isn't just Sin and Omega. There are still other events, like the Metacooler Core Red Zone, even so Max, all these different type of events where Yamcha could still cook pretty well. And I've seen people even use Yamcha against Sin and win. So this guy is pretty good. I like Yamcha. I think he's fine. But it's like he's like, kind of the teetering kind of unit. He's like kind of right at the end, you could potentially push him off. I mean, there are certain options maybe you could argue for. This is gonna sound kind of, people aren't gonna like this, but you could probably even, I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe you could make an argument. Maybe. Let me know if I'm capping, but this guy is like, he's good in like all these events, right? And the Yamcha isn't good in every single event. But Yamcha obviously much better leader skill, much better offensively, more well-rounded overall as a unit, which is why I would obviously have him at 10 personally in my ranking. But yeah, I mean, maybe I guess if you want, you can say like Pan and Bardock. I mean, at this point, like these units, you can kind of feel they're starting to age because Pan is over years old. Bardock's gonna be, Bardock's what, 10 months old? Yamcha is 9 months old actually. So these units, some of them that they came out and they were kind of wishy-ish on release, you can kind of feel the effects. Like Yamcha was good, but you guys get the point. But yeah, next we have Turles here. So Turles, I do keep him basically at the same level that I usually would have him. He was basically at the 8th spot in the last list. Now, we have Trunks, who, spoilers, he's above Turles, right? But, I think Turles actually did get, quote-unquote, help from Omega's fight, because he's able to kind of stack up his attack more. It's easier for him to get his, active skills super effective, and he can do some pretty good damage. But that middle STR phase, you can get caught with him. And I think his issues still are persisting in terms of, what he's not able to do in order for him to really accomplish, his true power. This entrance animation is not available to him, and that's really huge. That entrance animation makes a really huge difference if you're running double Turles especially. It's very massive. He has this HP restriction, and it's like, okay, you fall under HP restriction, you can't get the additional attack. Like let's say you have a rotation early on and there's a bunch of build-up units, right? And then you get this Turles in like the second rotation, and you enter the next turn under 50%, and you can't get the additional, then you can't build up your stats, and then even the additional, it's only a high chance, so like you can, Turles is a unit that has to get rolling multiple of these super attacks in succession. If he's doing super, then normal, he's not building this up, then he's not building up the damage reduction, and then, like, let's say, for example, the new Omega phase, you get to STR Sin, he gets obliterated, right? You know, he can get caught very easily. But he also can be very good if he's able to snowball and get his full passive up by, like, STR Sin, for example. And then you can start getting his super effective, and then the extra additional, and then he's stacking attack and healing. Like, he's a unit that snowballs. But if you don't get him to go off early on, then you can definitely experience a lot of troubles with this guy. Especially, again, because it's like he has a restriction to have a chance to do something. And then it's like, okay, he has to have this chance go off for this to build up. And then this is kind of based off of how many attacks he does as well. It just, I don't know. It is kind of like, you know, he could either go off for you or he might not be able to. And it's like, even at his max performance, I feel like in terms of when he released, like, we'll put next Gamma 2. I feel like Gamma 2 is kind of just like a better overall design philosophy compared to Turles. Now, in terms of purely tanking against extreme class bosses, Turles is probably able to just tank better against some of these super attacks that these bosses have. I will 100% say that, because the damage reduction is really, really massive. But the thing about this Gamma 2 is that, like, for example, he gets these stats. He doesn't have to super attack to build them up, right? And then these additionals are just guaranteed for you to get, right? You know, they have chances to become super attacks, but each by existing Gamma 2 gets these additionals. And then he only has to get, you know, 5 attacks to get the extra additional, and, you know, no HP restrictions or anything like that, right? He's supporting on top of that. He still can nullify certain super attacks in the game, which is really good. And he's just able to cook really well. I think his damage ceiling is really high, especially early on. His damage ceiling is just probably higher than what this Turles is able to do. I feel like, you know, when the fight nears the end, Turles could definitely have a higher damage output for sure. But I think overall Gamma 1 is just a more consistent unit. You know, he's also, again, but that support is really, really good. And he's able to just work better in, you know, overall setups. You know, because I guess one thing is Turles, you know, villains aren't necessarily in the best spot right now, right? You know, Turles doesn't have like a mega strong, you know, like space traveling warriors partner that has thirst for conquest, you know, big bad bosses that could, like, you know, maybe even in slot 1 for him, right? We have a unit that will give him the Destroyer of the Universe, thirst for conquest, right? And the I'm gonna raise the support unit, right? But the Turles kind of wants more. He wants the Goku family, you know, support. Maybe if you had all that stuff, you can maybe even make an argument for this, but I don't know. I like Gamma 2 where he is. I feel like Gamma 2 is just a more tightly knit unit in terms of his overall kit. So next is, where is actually going to be a change? I have Kid Goku here. So I'm sure if you guys have seen my previous tier list, you know that I actually do prefer Kid Goku. I did prefer Kid Goku above Gamma 1. But I feel like changed my mind because of how these new stages are. This is one of the situations where, okay, new stage comes out and that kind of changes my position off a unit. This Kid Goku, now that there's 2 stages, and then even 3 if you count AoE Broly, that do the AoE attacks, it's really devastating for this guy because he really does benefit from getting his super attack off first. The extra defense he gets matters for him taking supers. Normals, I mean, specifically. Like, AoE normals will really hurt him quite badly. And especially considering, you know, the hardest boss in the game, AoE normals, STR, right? So it can be very annoying. Now, to be fair, the final phase of that boss is obviously in type, where this Kid Goku is able to cook. You can have setups where Kid Goku could even tank the normals from Sin Shenron, like even his STR phase before he super attacks. I've had my Kid Goku eat the normals for double digits before he attacks, you know, no active skills or anything like that. It depends on the rainbow orbs he gets, right? But that can happen in certain setups, like it's like with Bulma, or like some sort of support units on top of his own support, right? But this Kid Goku is just great, right? His Rainbow Orb changing damage reduction support is really good. I'm a big fan of him. I'm still a big fan of him. He's really, really good, but it is kind of crazy. He's on 7 on this list. It's really, really wild. Because again, he's not even like a year old. I think it just shows the quality of units still is really, really nice. Because again, like I would say he's better than a lot of the units that came out after him. You know, let's say Turles, Yamcha, right? You know, some of these units that have come out after him, he is better. Even Gamma 2 technically came out after this Pirate Kid Goku. And I do like him better as, you know, overall. I think he's, again, another unit with a very, very tightly knit kit. You get him, and he's kind of just doing what he is all the time. I guess, you know, if you miss the 7 key spheres, it's not like that. But with him changing his own orbs, it's not actually difficult, especially because it's rainbow orb changing. Like, there's no, like, difficult restriction because he's providing himself these things. Like, it's not like something that you can't control. Like, let's say HP restrictions, or you know, the amount of attacks you may have to receive during battle, right? You know, that's kind of a little different. His Kid Goku cooks for sure. Now, this is, I feel like people may not like this or disagree with this, but I have Super Trunks next, and then I'm gonna fill in Gamma 1 above him right here. So I do like Gamma 1 above Super Trunks. Now, maybe people are gonna look at this and be like, what? Right? They'll be like, what? But he guarantee crits, triples, supers, active skill does damage, he just destroys the enemy. And I will say, Super Trunks himself, like if we're gonna rank Super Trunks himself, he by far, like it's just like not even close, right? It's all the way up here. Like, Super Trunks by himself is extraordinarily powerful, but there's a lot you have to go through with this guy, and the more I use him, the more I just dislike this unit overall. Unfortunately, he's good, right? But it's like Super Saiyan Trunks is just not it. I mean, first off, again, this restriction is really not even like what necessarily kills him, but it's like it hurts him really badly, because this is very tough to get on most teams. That, you know, if you want to run good units, that's tough to get most teams. Now, there's a possibility we get more Android Cell Saga stuff during this month, right? It's not confirmed, but you know, maybe we get future Gohan's EZA. Maybe we get this Trunks to sub EZA. Maybe we get like an Android Cell Saga Bulma. You know, they're all like really, really good, and we're like, okay, well, it's much easier to get that restriction. But even if we get all that, it's like this guy's basically still locked to his own team, which is not really great. Master Evolution Android Cell Saga, his team is not really there, right? I mean, again, I already brought Android Cell Saga, but like, we're gonna focus mostly on Trunks, because it's like, you know, he's the new unit, right? Like, this team, well, we have Dragon Ball Z Duo, right? And then Age of Gohan is good, and then like Golden Frieza solid. Gods, you know, they're runnable, right? But you know, at this point, they're getting closer to 2 years old, right? In 4 months, no, 5 months, they're gonna be 2 years old, which is really crazy. In 5 months, we're gonna have the 9th anniversary on the JP version, right? Which is really insane to think about, but that's what it is, man. These units, they're not peak anymore like that in terms of power. Nothing here is useful. Age of Golden Frieza maybe, but you know, he's even banned in some events. This Vegeta's good, I think, right? Nothing here is useful. Nothing here is useful. This Gohan sucks. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go for this Gohan. He's bad. You can't even use Blue Falcon here. Nothing here is useful. Like, literally, like, every TUR here except for Trunks and this Vegeta is pretty much just bad, just straight up garbage, right? And then Android Cell Saga, where it was like his main category, we already know this is not really a team. Like, Gohan already shares this team here. And Cell's good, but you're not gonna run him, because are you gonna run AGL Sound Man? and then just make your links wonky. Take androids, you can get away with them. I will say that, but like, you know, they're not like, you can get caught with them too early on. Like, if you want to save the Usher for like the middle phase or the end phase, they get hit with the super, they'll take a lot of damage, right? They're not like 800k defense plus 900k defense. They're like 500k defense, right? Omega Shenron will do like damage them the first phase. And yeah, I mean, physical Piccolo, if like we know we're getting Super Strike Piccolo's Awakening, but is he gonna be good? We don't know. Like, I can't judge him right now off of what we know. Physical Future Gohan, he's solid, but you know, again, he's also a unit that is basically going to be 2 years old very soon, right? He came out what, 2021? Actually, he's gonna be 3 years old. Oh my goodness, yeah, he's gonna be he's gonna be 2 years old. Never mind, I'm stupid. Which is a very long time, obviously, right? In about 3 months, he'll be 2 years old. No, 4 months. I'm stupid. Still, anyways, but you guys get the point. The restriction is very bad itself, right? But then it's like you restrict him so much, so that he can't even be used on most of these teams unless you just mess up the team composition, or you like run units off like leader skill, and then he only has a high chance to guard, which his defense is not at a level where it's like, oh, high chance to guard, he is cooking. No, his defense caps out like a what, 500, 600k, and this team sucks. So it's like, who are you running slot 1 besides AJ or Gohan? Like early on, like no one you're gonna be running in slot 1 early on besides AJ Gohan. So if you don't get him on your rotation, Golden Frieza too, right? You can run Golden Frieza, but let's say you don't get him on the rotation, or you don't even have them as units. This Trunks is going to be the unit you kind of have to put in slot 1. Doesn't guard, he dies. It's a coin flip chance. And then you are stuck with this Trunks for basically 5 turns. And I don't like that. That he's so restrictive, and then he's not like powerful enough to keep it up. Like, this is something that a free-to-play unit would have. Like, genuinely. You know, it was brought up to me, funny enough. A unit that has a very similar passive to this is the, Ender Soul Saga up here. The Int 16, you know, he got, it's funny, it's a Super Strike Int 16. He needs them on rotation, right? But, like, high chance to guard if there's all Ender Soul Saga category characters in the same turn. Now, obviously, Trunks is doing more in terms of damage, additional stuff, but like, it just, it gets to a point where it's like, you know, on paper you may look at it and be like, oh, it's okay, but then you use them, and it's just frustrating. If you've seen me on streams or using this Trunks or my videos, you have seen where this guy can be extremely frustrating. He doesn't guard, and then forbid you get 2 Trunkses in the second rotation. You get a Trunks in the 7th slot. You get, you know, a situation where you have to push Trunks off rotation or anything like that. And then you're just like not getting the additionals. You're getting Super Trunks out too late. And then you're stuck in the middle phases with this Trunks, and he doesn't guard again, and he just gets you killed, you know. And it snowballs. If this Trunks doesn't guard, even if you survive, you fall under 50% HP, guess what? You're losing AJ Gohan's guard. Golden Frieza's passive. The Dragon Ball Z will lose stats, right? You know, even if you have like another Super Trunks, he'll lose stats as well from getting to lower HP. It's a snowball, right? Kind of similar to Trunks, but Turles, but kind of worse. Obviously, this Super Trunks is so good that I'm not even gonna put him like under like Gamma 2 or Turles, but when you get this guy out, he's absolutely crazy, just disgusting. But this Super Saiyan Trunks holds him back so much that I'm like, I use Gamma 1 every single time, slot 1 guarding, even, you know, building up the hits very easily, right? He's a unit you're gonna guarantee run in slot 1, so it's gonna be pretty simple for him to get those hits, right? And once he gets it, it's just guaranteed. He has it, right? That's it. He has it. He has his guard. He has the damage reduction once he's built up. He has his extra stats once he's built up, right? He has the support guaranteed. And even after like loses the guard, he's able to live Omega Shenron type super attacks, Sin Shenron type super attacks, Joe Broly with type disadvantage, right? He's able to tank every boss in the game with ease and do his job. He's able to do even okay damage, right? I'm not gonna say he's doing good damage. Like his damage is his damage is incomparable to Super Trunks, right? But this guy's getting the job done. I mean, he's a better slot 1 unit than this Trunks before the Trunks supers, or depending on your HP. Like this Trunks, maybe he can lose a lot of stats. Like even if you're at like 50% HP, you're losing 100% stats. That matters when he has this and this, right? The multiplicative buffs. Well, spiral. Well, this Gamma 1 is always Gamma 1, right? And that's the thing I like about it. Like you can kind of tell. Like a lot of these units, have like kind of RNG baked in the passive. Like every character nowadays usually has RNG packed into their passive, but it could be like how consistent it is, how powerful is their overall numbers. And I don't think Super Trunks by himself is enough to cover everything for Super Saiyan Trunks for me to put him above Gamma 1. I like Super Trunks though. I think he's a fun unit. And I kind of went on a rant there, but I kind of wanted to explain just to make it clear, right, why Super Saiyan Trunks holds the Super Trunks back, right? Even if Android Cell Saga gets really good, unless it's like a bunch of Trunkses, it's like, Connected Hope, you're not going to get them on their Saviors, you're never going to get them on those teams, right? And it's like, these teams are just going to be dead, and like this Trunks would be very helpful with a lot of these teams, and then it's still restricting him to basically using his own leader skill or an Android Cell Saga team. And then it still doesn't fix the fact that it's just a high chance guard, so you could get screwed over either way, right? Even if you have best unit of the game, LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan next, like next month, you have to run this guy slot 1. He doesn't guard, he dies. That's my issue. Maybe if his additional was at least like not restricted, you could just run him on all these other teams and he'd be able to get the transformation on any team he's on, which is also a really big thing, right? That his additional is restricted to having these like allies as well. Easy fix. Give this additional for free, even if they have to make it a high chance to become a super. Who cares? He just has to do the attacks. Doesn't have to be supers, and then make this guarantee guard when there's 3 more, and then maybe even a high chance to guard baseline. I don't see why they couldn't have done that at all. I really don't with how restricted this is. But the rest of the list is pretty much the same. I honestly, I could just fill it in at this point. We have KO, we have God Goku, and then I don't know if my last list reflected this change, but I do have my Junior over 23rd World Tournament Goku. Again, it's like as time passes on, I think just more and more I got more time with my Junior compared to 23rd World Tournament Goku. Even like Turles kind of came out, right? I just like my Junior better now. I don't know, that's just how it is. 23rd World Tournament Goku, when he's post revive, I would say he's better than Piccolo, but the thing is that, you're not, it's kind of like, not necessarily like Trunks, but in a sense where this guy is like, when everything's built around him and going well, he's cooking, right? It's a lot easier to get this guy's full power than Super Trunks sometimes, to be honest. But like, I feel like those specific turns where he only has a high chance to guard, he's not even doing like my Junior's level of damage or defense. It's just not there, right? But Kale's good. Don't underrate Kale. Kale very strong. Gotta Goku. We all understand how good he is, and we also understand how good these guys are. So this is kind of like the order. I think I have these 4 still above the rest of these units. I mean, it's very difficult because it's like I would say like if we're rating specifically Super Trunks, like I would like Super Trunks is probably just the best TUR, right? Super Trunks is probably the best TUR, or at the very least like he's like 2 or like 3. I would say at least 2. I would probably say at least 2. But then this guy is like, oh, I'm bad. Right? He's not actually bad, but yeah, there's a lot of frustrations with him and just irks in his design. He's kind of like designed where he wants to be ran with specific units, like kind of like a villain unit. And that's an issue with Turles, you know, that's an issue with Cell units, that's an issue with Kid Buu units, right? That doesn't allow them to flourish. They want these specific team builds and partners. Trunks, what's gonna happen? The longer we go on without Android Cell Cycle buffs, he's just probably gonna go down and down and down. While, you know, these units who aren't necessarily restricted to needing certain units, like a Goku, like a Kid Goku, right? Any Goku can come out all in the family, you know, help him out, right? Easy to get Goku family buffs, right? Android's not so much, but the thing is that, like, these units, again, they're not restricted to you having to run a certain team. And they're pretty much in every single team together. You know, let's say we get LR Gamma 1 and 2. Gamer Pog. But then let's say we get like a Sword of Hope Trunks. He's not going to help this guy. That's how it is. Right? So, he's much more limited in terms of the quote-unquote buffs he can get, because it has to be specifically Android Cell Saga. And like, what if it's like an Android, like a Cell? Like a Cell, would he really help this Trunks like that? Probably not, no. So that's it though. So maybe we get, again, best unit in the game, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan worldwide. It could probably help this Trunks out, right? But let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching though, and of course I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.